Oh, my nose is bleeding. That's probably fine.
What the fuck?
Welcome to Telly Talk, where we talk about what's on the telly. And by that, we mean what's on our minds, because we're Telly. Today, we're talking about the movie that exists called Where the Wild Things Are, that's based off of a short book. And it's a kid's movie, but it's really for adults. Someone's gonna tell us why it's a good movie, I think.
Okay, so it's directed by one of my favorite directors, and I love his style. And I want to apply his style into the movie that I want to make.
Can we make a list of movies for you to adapt into, like, a list of kids' books for you to adapt into movies?
Really like it. Because, okay, with Where the Wild Things Are and the movie I want to make before I die, they have the same plot. An angry kid runs away to an island where there is a big fuzzy creature that solves all their problems. That is what both of the books are about, and that's what both of the movies will be about. Are about.
My thoughts on Where the Wild Things Are. It was very beautifully shot, and I liked all of the practical effects quite a lot.
Yeah.
The effects were impressive. The costumes were impressive. I liked the lighting. Like, the nighttime scenes, you could still see what was going on. You know, my big pet peeve?
Yeah.
You could see what was happening even though it was dark. Groundbreaking fucking concept. Big fan of light. I'm a big fan of light when in movies. And I liked the scenes with the boy and the mom. I thought they had great chemistry as acting pairs, and they I love the little scene. The ending scene was very well shot, and I like the scene where he's telling her story about the vampires. They're both
so adorable that she writes down all his stories.
Because that's something I learned in my education classes, is about having little kids tell you stories and you write them down, and how it helps with their imagination and explain their world and stuff. And I was really analyzing the fuck out of that scene because of that. And oh my god, that reminds me, fucking hated the teacher. I know they included that just to include
therapy.
Just to include the fact that the boy is now scared of the sun going out.
Yeah.
And that was the point of that scene existing. But as someone who has studied teaching in depth, that is not how you teach at all. This is not how you introduce a new scientific concept to children.
Oh, yeah,
that was absolute shit teaching, and I was appalled that they even put that in there like that. And
he was like, we're all gonna die, the sun's gonna explode, and then he exists to a bunch of fourth graders. That's fucking.
And it had no point. Science, when you teach science to fourth graders, it's supposed to be look how cool the world is. Let's play with it. Not just so there's this thing called the sun, right? Yeah, the earth, yeah, got it. So we're all gonna die. What the fuck, man? I thought most of the movie script, I know the movie was very metaphorical and deep and provided insight to the child's mind and how they interpret the adults around them in the world and deal with their emotions. And I respect that as a concept. I think that's a very interesting concept, and I should be very into it as someone who studies a lot of child psychology. However, I just thought most of the script was not very well written, and most of the movie was boring. Even though I did like how it was filmed.
That's fair.
It was I was just bored. A lot of the scenes with the wild things just felt like the same thing over and over again. I was kind of over it. It was just a lot of nothing happening, and it was hard to keep my attention.
Yeah, that's fair. I get that. I liked it for the art style because I love the director, and I like the big fuzzy the dog pile that they do. I just want to climb in there.
Yeah, that was cute. Fuck, what was I gonna say? When you said you want to give him a hug, I was gonna ask if you wanted the girl to eat you.
Oh my god, what did you think of that scene?
I think you can interpret it very metaphorically, like that's when the kid starts to realize his mom's point of view, and that's when he's inside of the character who represents his mom. So it's like literally like in her shoes, and then like this is the moment where he realizes his that he's making life more difficult for his mom. It's a very metaphorical concept, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember watching this movie when I was a kid, kind of. Like, it was, like, on while I was in, like, the waiting room of a dentist when I was 10, or something like that. Like, I never fully watched the movie, but I remember, like, watching a little bit of it at some point. And when I was a kid, I was always on the kid's side, because I was like, yeah, the adults in his life are treating him so unfairly. I see why he's acting out. And while that's still true, like, this kid is going through a lot of, big transitions in his life, and that's very hard for kids to process and deal with, and it feels like he's not very listened to.
Yeah.
Or valued. However, some of the things that boy did, I was like, this kid's gonna grow up to be a serial killer. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this boy? Like, if you're a little kid, you're like, yeah, this little kid's getting treated unfairly, kids' rights. And if you're, like, a grown adult with kids, you're like, this boy is making this mom's life so much more difficult.
Yeah. Especially if you're
like, we're,
a
like, in the
parent.
middle, and you could see both sides very well, that, like, I don't know, it's just, like, life is complex and hard, and it's hard
like
for everyone.
I was the kid, but now I'm the mom. And so I understand it, and I wouldn't want my kid to be this kid, and I want to be better than this.
Yeah. It's just a very interesting, like, concept. It's like, I don't know, it's just a lot of, it makes you feel a lot of emotions and have a lot of vague thoughts.
You cut out, and I just heard you say, it makes me feel like vague thoughts.
There we go, that's all you needed to hear.
It makes you vague thoughts.
It makes me feel vague thoughts. That's pretty much what I said. Yeah.
I like this movie because it makes me feel things, and I like this style.
Have thoughts.
It makes me have vague thoughts.
I like the movie because it makes me have vague thoughts. I like the concept of the movie, but it's like, I feel like it could have been so much, like, I feel like the entire middle just, like, did nothing. But I know it wouldn't be the same movie without the middle, because you need the middle to develop the characters, but like, explain the metaphors more. But it's just, like, all the parts of the movie I liked was the beginning and the end, and the middle was just, like, very boring for me. But it's shot so beautifully. I see why you like the style. I watched the first Hunger Games movies last night, and I was thinking about how you hate the way they edited it, but I'm gonna be real with you, I like it.
You're kidding. No.
I'm so serious.
There's like a horrible jump cut at the reaping scene where she's like fighting through the peacekeepers, and it's like lined up so badly because it like jumps back a few seconds, one of those where it's like she's like fighting through them, and it jumps back to her like being behind him again, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? Why did they put that in? I'd rather put in a bad scene than do a stupid jump cut like that. So
okay, that's bad. But I just like the way they line up a lot of their shots in a way that makes you feel, like, kind of uncomfortable watching it. Like, they don't shoot a lot of things straight on, and, like, they shoot things, like, through, like, materials in a way that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of, like, the quick transitions they do, because it just, like, adds to the uncomfortable vibe that I feel like it's trying to invoke in you.
Well, quick cuts to create tension, and long shots release. That's what I learned.
Yeah.
You know what editing class
So the Hunger
like?
Games did a lot of quick shots to make tension. That makes sense. Okay, what's editing class like?
Editing class is... I've been studying blinking for the past 3 weeks. Blinking.
Oh, that's...
Just blinking.
What did you learn? What did you learn about blinking?
It's actually really interesting. So did you know that every time you have a thought, you blink? And almost every time that you look in a different direction, you blink?
I didn't know that. That doesn't make sense to me because I'm always thinking thoughts, so it's like, why am I not always blink?
No, it's like when your brain. I'm like now noticing it. When your brain moves to an action, I'm doing it right now. I'm like thinking about it while like, what the fuck? I can't stop. It's really weird.
This class, this is like when you take like, you took a class and now like you've learned it too deep to the point where like you're self-analyzing yourself, like when you take a psychology class.
Yeah.
But it's just a fucking editing class that makes you analyze your own blinking.
Yeah, like try and notice when you blink. Like when you have a thought, when you're about to speak a sentence, you blink. And it's weird.
No, stop. No, wait.
It's weird.
Stop.
It's weird.
Take
And
it back.
when
Take that thing out of my head.
Like, most of the time when you direction, like you look at something, you'll blink before. The only
So how do you edit around that? Is that what you're learning it for? Like to learn how to
we blink
edit around it?
Blinks are good cut points, and blinking we studied it for audience reactions because of audiences. So this guy wrote out this book, and in a chapter he talked about how the audience is like a sky of stars where all of them are out there while they're watching a movie, and all of them are supposed to blink at the same time because that means they're like in the movie, like they're watching the movie, they all understand what's going on, they're all getting what the movie is trying
That's
to come across as.
fascinating.
And if someone blinks out of time with someone else, you notice it because it's that one blink goes out, and you're like, God, it just weird. It's out of that one person either not liking the movie, not paying attention, like not in the movie. And so that's why we studied blinking for 3 weeks.
That's fascinating.
Blinking, man, it's crazy.
Blinking. We're both learning so much in college. We're so smart. That's so cool. We're smart little guys.
Wow, becoming knowledgeable people. Which monsters do you think represent which character? Carol
Okay,
is
so
obviously Max.
yeah, Carol is Max, where like it's like he wants to do his wild adventure things, but then sometimes he has little tantrums that are kind of extreme because of all of his emotions inside. And then there's like the whole metaphor about how he wanted to build a room away from Carol, which is like hiding from his negative emotions, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the BW, is that her name?
AW?
Yeah, I knew it was something. W.
You know, DW.
I was thinking of Arthur. Yeah, DW. That's the mom who like loves Carol but is like having a hard time with his outbursts.
I heard that Bob and Terry, her like owl friend, her work or like her adult conversation, that he understand it.
I read that too. Like it was like a mix of that and like when she had like a new boyfriend over and he was like trying to eavesdrop on them.
Yeah.
And like he like just like couldn't understand the new adult relationships.
Yeah.
I also saw that Carol might represent Max's dad because it seemed like it seems like the dad was artistic but also like maybe had angry outbursts too, and that could be like why they got divorced or something.
I read that his dad / the new boyfriend was that one guy with the big nose. You know what I'm talking about? Who digs holes really well?
Yeah.
Yeah, guy. I don't know why.
That makes sense too. But I think the Carol theory, being the dad, makes sense because that could be like where Max like gets it from, like that behavior. like, it was, like, modeled for him, and
I think that the
it,
dad
like,
was abused. I don't know why. I just get that feeling.
yeah, I think he was probably abusive to the mom.
Yes, because
I imagine he, like, was this really creative guy, but did sometimes had angry outbursts towards the mom.
yeah, because I in my other book that it has the same plot as this, the your kid's parents, his mom is like abused. Dad's the abuser, and he lashes out on him, and his mom kind of just like hides away from him. And so he gets angry at everyone else. His dad's abuse. How to release.
Bro, that's the same plot.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. So I think that's why.
Oh my god, I'm so excited to see this movie.
You'll see it in like 30 years.
I read that the guy who Carol rips the arm off of, that could have been, if Carol's the dad, that could have been, like, one of the dad's friends who was trying to, like, reason with him.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, hey, you're not treating your family very well. And that was, like, so interesting that, like, sand poured out of him. It was weird. I liked it. So that could have been, like, his reasonable friend, but he would just, like, had an outburst at him, too.
I really
And
like how
there were some really... You go.
I like how this movie's about a children's book, a literal toddler kid book. Is like,
And they made it so mature.
yeah, they made it mature and like kind of scary in some parts. Like the arm being ripped off, that was violent and like scary. Little arms, you're like, oh my god, he ripped his arm off. And what's her name? W putting Max in her mouth, like that was the way she unhinged her jaw and just like
That was creepy.
that was kind of scary. And then the POV of him inside her, like that was like nasty. And then he like pulled her out and he was all wet and shit. That was nasty.
She was wet in there too. It was so gross.
Like that's like scary.
They made it kind of dark.
I love it.
I was gonna say that there were some really... I know I didn't like most of the script, but they had a handful of very good lines. Like, I liked the part where Carol's going on, like, a rant, and he's like, blah, 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 and there's, like, this isn't real, and the sun's gonna die, and it's just, like, a lot... It's just, like, a handful of, like, really, like, sad thoughts, and I feel like that kind of provides you insight into what Max is feeling. Like, that's, like, kind of Max's thought process after, like, that day at school where he's just, like, nothing's right anymore in my life, and now I just learned the sun's gonna die.
Yeah.
And then the part where KW is, like, I love him, but it's hard being family. That was a really sweet line.
Oh, yeah. I also like how Max yelled at Carol, "You're out of control," and that's like what made Max run away from his mom.
Like, and then
you're out of control.
And then KW also said it to Carol.
Really?
Yeah, like 10 minutes later when Max was inside of her.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it was, oh man. And like that's when he realizes that that's like what he's doing is like hurting his family.
It's like, shit,
I felt really bad for Max though, because you could see the moment he bit his mom, he realized that like he didn't do it on purpose, and he felt really bad about it, and he was really scared of what he just did. I felt so bad for him because he did not like do that with like viciousness.
Like, the beginning of the movie is to show that Max is a good kid. Like, he's sweet. He made that like little heart for his sister. Wants a friend. Like, he doesn't have any friends. And wants it. But the only way all of his problems is sister. And so that makes him really just like
He's such a sweet kid.
a good kid.
The opening scene just kind of mortified me because he was like chasing his dog with a knife and then choking it out, and I was like, this kid is terrifying.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, I love the opening of like the logo, the studio logos where he like, scribbles all over. That was so cute.
Yeah,
I also
that
love
was
the
awesome.
soundtrack because it's like
Yeah.
it's a woman and then a choir of like children that do the sound. I love it because
I also love the soundtrack.
it's so cute.
I also like during one of the parts that was scariest was when Max is talking with the guy and he realizes that like he's not a king, and then he just is like, I don't care, but don't let Carol find out, and then like the music just gets really ominous and it's really
it's
scary.
Like, Carol will eat you. You see what he's gonna do to me in the future? You see what he did to that bird guy? He's gonna do worse to you.
And I like the metaphor of him declaring himself king because it just kind of shows that a lot of things in his life he doesn't feel like are in control, so he wants control over things.
Yeah.
Because he just doesn't really know what's happening in the adult world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's your favorite character?
Oh.
We haven't done that in a long time. I don't think we rated it in a long time either.
I like KW.
I like the bull. Never see it. He doesn't have any lines. Silent. But I just like what he looks like. I also like KW. I also like Carol. I like all of them on.
I like everyone. Every character. I like Carol's like voice. Like the way he talks is very comforting.
I like Carol's way they made.
I like his big fluffy head.
Yeah, I like the size of.
I was confused at the beginning of the monster scene because Carol is smashing everything and they're just like, damn, there he goes. And then Max is like, I'm gonna join in. And they're like, who the fuck is this guy? Let's eat him. Like, Carol was smashing everything too and you weren't gonna eat him.
They eat humans. Fill the graves of the.
Oh yeah, they said at the end that this was the first kid they hadn't eaten, and I was like, oh, that's kind of scary.
You think, okay, I have one more question. That he, like, fell asleep in the woods, like, dreamed all of it?
I think based off of what I know about the book, yes. However, it is much more enjoyable to pretend that it really happened. I'm gonna rate it. I would not watch it again. It was not entertaining, but it was also beautiful at the same time. So I'll give it a nice middle 3.
I would.
3 out of 5?
No. I would watch it for, like, style purposes. Like, 3 times a year, I'm like, oh, I need one of my arts. So, like, I would watch it whenever I would need.
Valid.
I would give it a 3.4 out of 5. Actually, no, a 3.7.
Had to up it a little bit.
Yeah. I had to think about it. Thanks, guys, for listening. Why can't I say thanks? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Telly Talk.
For this episode.
Go listen to our other episodes. Watch our other videos.
Games.
Would you rather games?
Or games, but no games.
Or games, but no games. Comment down below. Bye.
Bye.